Welcome everybody to our Sunday Truth Talk here live on Facebook. My name is Jona Bryndis. I'm a living Truth Talk radio, but also an energy coach, an energy healer, and I help people with developing a new compass, a new roadmap for their life if they find themselves in a situation where they want to change something. And today I want to talk to you about something that is a little poo-pooed in this sort of spiritual area, namely money and financial abundance. Thanks for coming. If you are watching this video here live or in the recording, I want to let you know that the reason why I'm doing this live is to get lots of questions from you. So please be ready to ask, be ready to verify, be ready to be curious, be ready to interact here with me or maybe some of the other audience about today's topic, namely finances, money, and abundance, and how this plays into our daily life. Is money really just energy? What is the problem with money? Why do so many people end up in a place of desperation, confusion, and also passivity about money? So let's investigate some of these aspects here that I want to illuminate with you from an energetic point of view. Money is energy, yes, a nice concept for most of you, but difficult to translate, difficult to apply if you don't understand what money is and if you don't understand what energy is. So we have to illuminate both of these aspects here, because for us to be able to translate this into, say, a money-making concept or strategy, and we don't have any money, then it's very difficult to gain the experience needed, all right, to, just like with riding a bike or speaking a language or even relationships, to make better choices. Now, this is also the reason why so many of us kind of give up before we even try. So the majority of people here on this planet experience not having money as the biggest problem. What is your biggest problem with money? And then we talk about some of the strategies. We're going to go through some of the issues that keep us where we're at, and also we will illuminate certain strategies and see, maybe how you can be the change, how you can change whatever the problem is that you're finding yourself in right now. Or what do you think is the biggest problem with money altogether? Let us all know here how you are experiencing your own sort of relationship with money. Okay, so there's a few good responses coming in here already. The need to hoard money, or the greed that comes with this. Yes, this is something that we will talk about here. Why, out of fear, we believe that the main strategy to have money, or to accumulate money, is to try to hang on to it, to keep it, or to hoard it, to get more. What is your problem with money? Be it from a spiritual point, from a practical point of view, whatever it is that comes up for you with money. I want to really work with what is going on for you. Never enough. Thank you, Becky. That is exactly what I wanted to hear. You experience that there is never enough. Yes, also finding the right job or the right business idea. Okay, that is something we can illuminate here together, because the right job, right, or the right business, or the right way of making money can be a problem. Many of us try certain things and they seem to set us up somehow. They seem to set us up to repeat negative experiences, which then ends up putting us into a place of either, pain about money or fear about money. And one of the biggest issues with this pain and this fear is, especially in times like right now, where there's a lot of uncertainty, is that we begin to identify with not enough. We begin to identify with the lack. And this is kind of like a collective theme right now, because the absence of security, like say, expressed in the uncertainty of right now, can also be experienced as reason for one's own scarcity. So there's a scarcity idea that we all have, which expresses in the statement, not enough. And we need to investigate this, because the energetic component here of that is extremely important to understand if we want to change something. So let's look at what this not enough does to us, okay? When we identify with not enough, what happens is that our energy goes into this place of fear of losing more, or fear of not having enough, say tomorrow, the fear of the future. We've already talked about this in the past. Here is sort of reason number one for our inner negativity, our inner darkness to spread. And of course we also have outer conditions that reinforce that often also suggest to us that there is not enough. And this is really the nature of scarcity, guys. Scarcity is pretty much the opposite of abundance. It's the feeling or the idea that everything is limited, that we can only have it if we are in a certain way, or if we do things in a certain way, if we become somebody, or if we have somebody. And it really isn't the truth. If you look at how nature deals with the presence of things, nature in and of itself is actually extremely abundant, even considering things such as pollution and climate change and so forth, where there's extinction and so forth. But the self-healing ability that nature has through forming ecosystems and self-correcting always leads to it recovering. So this is something that when we come to the next question, namely what is abundance, then, that I want to point your attention at. Abundance is not necessarily having a lot. Abundance is feeling that there is something there that I can access. All right, it's an accessibility. When I grew up and when I went to college, textbooks were extraordinarily expensive. We had to pay, $200 or euros, or whatever the currency was in the country that I lived, just to be able to conclude my semester. Knowledge was an extremely expensive commodity, and so it was very sought after. When I grew up, I was willing to spend a lot of money in order to get knowledge. This, for instance, is not the case anymore. Knowledge itself nowadays doesn't actually have that value anymore. Since the times of internet, we have the ability to gain a lot of knowledge for free. So in my world, one of the pillars of abundance, namely the knowledge of how to tap into this abundance, has become even more abundantly available, accessible. All right, so we always have to look at scarcity with a question mark in us, because it's often based on our beliefs. We believe that things are scarce. We believe that money is scarce. We believe that we are not enough. We believe that money is not enough. And this is a very important part here of this sort of shift that has to take place within ourselves before we can even think about things such as job or idea or business. We have to understand the nature of money and the nature of abundance, and also how we feel about this, what our beliefs are. Grace Denise, you're referring to prices going up. Kirk is referring to a concept that a lot of people we're raised with, we're saving versus spending, that we're going to have to investigate that. Yes, and the fear that leads to the energy of seeing everything as scarce and being afraid of losing things. So this is really, really important here, the fear aspect, because what does the fear do to us? You can transfer this to anything in your life. If you are afraid of losing something, what will your ego do? Your ego will immediately do one thing. It will try harder. It will do more. It will do more of what it's already doing, with the idea that if you hold on, or if you control it more, or to have more power over it, that you could control your fear. And this is pretty much what is happening in the world. This is the foundation for all power struggles in the world, and wars and so forth. Traditionally have always been about resources. So you've heard me referring to this in the past. But if you want to understand the nature of money, then look at the resources, look at the source of it, and look at the resources that can be bought with money, that can be converted into money, and vice versa. So the problem here, why we all get stuck in this scarcity, is because we see ourselves not being able to do that. We don't feel that we have the power to do anything, and that's then basically the core of us ending up in victimhood, us setting ourselves up for financial disaster, because we are not really feeling we're in control. This is the only concept that our ego can come up with, and therefore we give up and we go into there's nothing we can do about it. And so we try to maintain what we have. We try to maintain what we have. So this is linked to the greed that we talked about earlier, to the hoarding, and to what scarcity really does to us. It contracts our energy and creates the illusion that if we cannot get more, then we have to at least control what we have. And if you're asking me as an energy coach, it's the number one reason why people cannot even think in terms of abundance, why they can't even get out of this pit hole, all right, of thinking that there's not enough, because their ego keeps focusing them on what they don't have. All right, so what is abundance? Abundance really means to have more than you need, okay? More than I need for myself, all right? And you can apply this to all areas of your life. The only problem is, how can we overcome this feeling of not enough, or this scarcity idea or ideology really that we have in our minds? And this is where the outer conditions come in, because we are being set up for this in many different ways, not as a conspiracy theory. It's always been that way, because it is not in the interest of those who understand the nature of money and control the nature of money, for everybody to get this, right? So that's why all these books about how to get rich fast, and the secrets of manifestation, the law of attraction and so forth, have been on the bestseller lists here in these last 20-30 years, because people want to know the secret of money. The secret of money is that there is no secret. The secret is that we have a block in our head that was carefully placed there, all right, that creates the illusion in us that it is something that we either need to maintain, or something that we need to have, or we need to change ourselves to attract it. And so if you're asking me as an energy coach, things such as law of attraction and The Secret are really tricky publications, and actually set up a person for even more lack. Why is that? Because they create the idea that if you just become somebody completely different, then you can be rich, then you can be abundant. And this has created sort of a whole movement, sort of trying to be someone that we are not. From an energetic point of view, that can't work. But what are these outer conditions here that we have to contend with, really? Well, one of the things that, especially in times right now, that make it very difficult for us to change this inner attitude towards money is that we live in an increased cashless society, in an increased time of abstraction of money. So back in the days, when it was coins that you held in your hand, gold coins, for example, you could feel it. You could actually feel by the weight of your purse how much money you had. It was very, very tangible. Today, cash or money is very intangible. And if you look at how your children grow up, for them, your phone is basically what gets you everything that you want. So this is a bit of a problem here, because it really doesn't allow people to have this tangible experience with money, and therefore it becomes very illusionary, very elusive. The other thing, and this has a lot to do with education, is understanding how money is even produced as a resource. We live in a debt-based economy, all right, and this is very illogical for the simple brain, because we have to understand that our economy is thriving when we have a lot of debt. And so for most people who were raised with certain beliefs, such as not loaning money and so forth, this could be a bit of a confusion inside of them, because they can see that things such as your credit score or your ability to spend, to actually have cash flow available to you, that this seems to depend on how much credit you have, how much you actually borrow from the banks, and not so much based on how much you have. So there's a big confusion here that you cannot resolve if you don't really understand how the money system in which we live works. Another thing that sets us up for failure financially, and this is really, really big, especially considering the future, is the lack of education. The lack of education about money. Okay, who of you has learned how to deal with money, how to create abundance with money in school? Nobody does, and not even those of you who went to college for this. Considering that in many countries, such as the United States, for instance, education itself is very expensive, we seem to be set up here for the belief that, we cannot even afford to learn how to make money. This is something that, gets stuck in us. Another thing that sets us up is the lack of experience, the way we grow up. Most families don't actually talk about money, like as if it's something bad to talk about money, and we don't really grow up, as children with the responsibility of, spending and saving and budgeting ourselves. We don't really know how to do this. Okay, the only messages we get is that you need credit cards, and that you sort of somehow magically should be able to have all these things like phones and other consumer goods, all right, that seemingly everybody else can afford. So we have no concept of how to actually deal with money and how to make money. Another reason is the lack of mentors, the lack of teachers. This has a lot to do with our families, how we grow up, but also with our friends. Now, people seem to treat this money making like a magical power, okay? And therefore, we all keep our own secrets for ourselves. We don't share our ideas. We don't really talk about how we did it, unless you socialize with people who do networking, or who really talk about these things on purpose. One of the biggest issues, though, from my perspective as an energy coach, is the attitude and the beliefs that people have, and how they set them up for failure in their finances. Beliefs about money that come maybe through our families, through our culture, through our religion, that can form sort of unchecked ideologies within ourselves. And unfortunately, they also create this self-identity along with money. For instance, a caste system, to believe that you have to have a rich dad, that you have to be somebody in order to make money, all right, that you have to be pretty, or that you have to be something, all right, in order to have a strategy for making money. Those are, in energy work, the number one problems and things that people need to learn to overcome. We call those abundance blocks. Those are unconscious belief systems inside a person, such as money is dirty, only rich people are all bad, or they're all criminals, or things such as, yes, you have to have money in order to make money, or it's better to save than to spend. These are things that actually determine how your attitude towards money plays out in your life. And those are really, really big problems for many people, because no matter how well they understand the nature of money, if you are running into an unconscious block within yourself, then you're sending mixed messages to yourself and also to the universe, which is ultimately abundant and ready to deliver, to supply you with whatever it is that you are sending out there. So the problem isn't that there isn't enough there. The problem is that you are not asking for the right things, or, as in the case with many people, that you don't ask for anything, or that you send out mixed messages along with your order form. There are a few things that I noticed here in regards to the corona situation, where we had to, sort of basically find new ways to get to resources, or we had to change our strategy, and instead of going to the store every day, maybe just going to the store once a week, or once every 2 weeks, or once a month, in order to avoid the dangers, or the perceived dangers of going out. And this made us all sort of think more about delivery systems and stuff like that, and obviously Amazon. And when working with Amazon, I found out something mind-boggling. And this is the way we put our order in. And here's the analogy to not knowing what to ask for. If you order something with Amazon, or try to order something with Amazon, okay, and you put the wrong delivery address in there, for example, it will never arise. Why would you not really want to have it? Because you have some kind of unconscious block with what you are ordering. If you don't put in the right size, all right, if you don't define the amount correctly, well, then you will get something, but not the right size, or not the right color, or not the right thing. I found out that ordering things from China is not really a good idea, because it takes like 2 or 3 months before it comes. So you also have to be a little more specific about when you want it and how you want it. But what the biggest thing was that I found out, and this is what I see people do every day of their life in regards to money and resources and abundance, not just financial abundance, also their relationships and other aspects of life, such as health, for instance. Have you ever tried to place an order with Amazon and type in what you don't want? Try this. And everything that you get is exactly what you don't want. And this is how you guys, most of you who have issues with money, this is how you treat money. You keep sending the energy out there of what you don't want, okay? Namely the fear, the pain, the loss, the grief, the regrets, the overall, ideology that you have in your head, okay? The it's money is bad, or it's somehow dirty, or something like that, all right? And this is exactly what the universe, what the circumstances basically then delivers to you. So this is a really, really big problem, guys. And I hope you all understand, why it took me so long to get to that place. Yes, so a lot of times, this setup for disaster, which not only reinforces our own negativity and low vibes, it literally also sets us up for, bankruptcy, insolvency, and depression and passivity. And, not even to mention what this does to our future generations, by the way, but which is why I think that education about money is one of the biggest things that need to change here in our society. But if we want to break the cycle, well, for many of us, it takes to run against this wall. It takes this disaster, it takes the crisis, it takes the bankruptcy, it takes the insolvency, it takes the divorce, it takes the disease. And this is the problem, guys. Do you really, really want to wait that long? Yes. Other things come into this as well. You were taught that debt was bad, that there's something shameful, or it makes you feel guilty. Having no credit is a problem for you now because you never wanted to have debt. Actually, this is a problem I used to have as well as an immigrant here into the United States. I was prepared to be financially self-responsible. I didn't expect any handouts or anything, and everything that I accumulated, I bought. All right, and so after 15 years of owning everything that I have and not really owing anything to anybody, I wanted to buy a house, and I looked at my credit score, and it looked like that of an 18-year-old college student, because I don't actually even have a history. And I talked to my bank and I said, look guys, I've been having all these investments with you, I've been having all the money flow going through you, can you do something for me? And they said, no ma'am, you have to actually to make debt in order to get a better credit score. Within the system here, you have to understand that, okay, that this believes that, not wanting to have debt is something that does not allow you to ever really work with the system. Now, this doesn't mean that you need the system, but if you want to work with the system, like if you want to invest in things, for instance, if you want to sort of do quantum leaps, you might need that kind of support. So that requires a sort of down-to-earth, very practical strategy, namely, like you can see this on the internet or in tons of books that are written about this. You have to literally build your credit step by step. This takes anywhere from maybe a year or 2 years to build some sort of fundamental basic credit score that allows you, say, to work with a business loan or to work with a personal loan. Yes, been working on your limiting beliefs. That's cool. That's a very good beginning. Yes, and you're bringing up other things here. Yes, so replacing these conflicting inner beliefs with affirmations is a good start. But I will tell you here in a minute why this is not enough. You discover things such as worthiness not being enough, trust and faith. All these things that are basically inhibited through our ego that says, we have to maintain what we have. We have to, hang on to what we have. Yes, you're still doing your best and you never give up. But it is exhausting, yes, and this is a part of the problem here, why we're set up for disaster, namely that we, in this ego mechanism that we have, okay, trying to hang on to things or trying to be somebody else that we are not, we are exhausting ourselves. We're literally only trying to approach this from our willpower, from our solar plexus, our third chakra. And what that does is that we actually get caught in this machine that is running out there, okay, through all these things that I've laid out here that set us up for failure, namely dog eats dog, all right, that this is a battlefield, okay, that this is something that needs to be hard, okay. So the first thing that I would suggest to all of you is to really work with this believe that making money is hard. It is only hard if we get caught in our own passivity and our ideology about money, and if we fight against it, okay, whether this is aware to us or not, then it becomes exhausting and draining, and it makes us even more passive. All right, so in order to tune your energy successfully into abundance, and let me point out here that abundance on a financial level is always in conjunction also with abundance in our health, in our relationships, in our friendships, and so forth, because abundance is an energetic state. It is not something that we can accumulate. It is something that we need to produce, generate within ourselves. And how can we produce abundance within ourselves? How can we generate that? How can we tap into that inner power? Through inner and outer balance. That means we have to learn how to overcome these imbalances, which, some of which have to do with the unconscious beliefs, the conditioning, and of course, sort of the brainwashing that comes in from the outside. And here I've already laid this out for you in several other truth talks, that one of the big issues that I'm seeing right now energetically here, as far as the matrix programming is concerned, is the single-sided focus on materialism. I see this here through the corona crisis as well, where people are being so reduced in their thinking that they are just sort of a bunch of cells, like a machine or like a bag of meat, okay, that is just sitting there waiting to get attacked by the virus. All right, and the same happens with money as well. We feel, that everything is just material, and that we have to hold on to the little material that we have. Well, from a spiritual and energetic point of view, we know that that is not the case. So inner and outer balance means that we have to change our attitude about the energy that actually provides abundance. All right, where does this come from? And what do we need? Yes, I'm looking at your comments here. Very, very cool comments. Yes, not asking for anything. Yes, being afraid of speaking up or asking. Yes, feeling not worthy to ask for something. What most people do wrong, okay, is that they get caught in their need. Okay, they think that they need something in order to. Right? We've already illuminated some of these beliefs that can lead to this money. You need to have money in order to get money, and all those other beliefs that can lead to unconscious abundance blocks, such as money can't buy happiness, that money is negative energy, money destroys friendships. Those are all unconscious beliefs that can make us get stuck in a place where we think that what we need in order to make money, or in order to be abundant, to feel abundant, is what we don't have. So what are some of these ideas that we have? We think, well, for one, we need to have a lot of luck, or we think we need to have a certain kind of knowledge that we don't have access to. We think we need to have specific skills that we don't have. We feel that we need to be prettier or taller or something, wear better clothes. We need to wait for something in order to something. And all these things, guys, are ego illusions, all right? So this is the first thing that I would suggest to you, is that you do a honest reality check on what this inner conversation is that is going on in your head, what you keep feeding yourself with, what you keep affirming within yourself that you don't have. Why did I say to Betsy earlier that just affirming isn't quite enough? That is because what our ego does is that it then goes into like, okay, then I need to affirm the opposite. So this is why I made this example with an Amazon order. You can't type in what you don't want, because all you get in the search engine is exactly what you don't want. Your subconscious does not compute negations, guys. So you can't energize what you don't have, or what you don't want, or what you're afraid of losing, because then your energy is is basically reinforcing the very thing. And this is why books such as The Secret and so forth are very dangerous for people, and why affirmations aren't actually the way, because most people don't know how to do affirmations right. They keep affirming what they don't want and what they don't have. So basically affirming their own lack. Okay, so all these inner unconscious beliefs about ourselves, namely, not deserving, not being worthy, not being good enough, all the way to, I'm not interested in money, or, the idea that we need somebody else, we need a partner or a husband or a wife or whatever to take care of us, or we need the government to take care of us, or, until we have something, then we don't even need to try. All this, guys, is about not having abundance, not having money. And as you've already guessed by now, this is the primary problem. We affirm what we don't want. We affirm our lack. We energize our lack. And the biggest problem with that, and this is especially something here in the spiritual the circles where I observe this, is that even though we think that it's not about money, by reinforcing and energizing that we don't have money, we're actually making everything about money. If you look at people's success recipes, if you look at people who have abundant lives, who have a lot of money, who have wonderful relationships, who are healthy and so forth, what is their secret? They have no secret. For them, it's really not about these things. They assume, okay, they actually live and they embody the abundance of having all of that, which means it really isn't about this. Have you ever tried to lose weight by calorie counting? Have you ever tried to change anything by trying to reduce, or deprive yourself of other things? What happens is that all of a sudden everything becomes about that. Okay, the best way to lose weight is to not think about weight. The best way to develop a healthy relationship with your body and with the food that you put into yourself to nurture yourself is to love it. Right? So when you have issues with lack, guys, regardless of how deep this goes with your unconscious blocks, the first thing you need to overcome is your unconscious rejection of money. Because there's a lot of people who have this, be it through fear, be it through, the ideology, religion, or whatever, but also the unworthiness and deservingness, a negative attitude towards money. Okay? And the same with food. There are some things that you cannot just scratch out of your life, okay, so that you don't have to deal with it, so that you can feel better about yourself. This doesn't work. You need food, okay, to live. You need money to live in this world. Now, money can also, of course, it's just a word, for a certain, say, energy that allows you to get other things. So let's shift our focus here away from money for a moment, and more to like the skills that it takes to get it, the currency itself, because money is just one currency of abundance. In my observation, the biggest problem that you have, besides this confusion that we already talked about, is also unrealistic expectation. There is a form of entitlement here that we all are raised with, and that is that somebody will take care of us. And if you think about this, like mom and dad paying for everything, then the government paying for your student loan, or or giving you money, taking care that you can be educated, then the government taking care of you when you get unemployed, your employer taking care of you, your partner taking care of you. It creates this idea that we need something on the outside, all right, and that we are entitled. And this is where most of you get stuck. Abundance has nothing to do with entitlement. Abundance has something to do with you being willing to go into the self-responsibility of taking care of it, right? I mean, if you don't brush your teeth, nobody else is going to do it. If you have a problem with, say, your dental health, all right, it's not because it's somebody else's fault. It's because you didn't live up to the responsibility of taking care of it enough. So entitlement, guys, is a breeding ground for victimhood and negativity, all right, and resentment, and all that ultimately creates the passivity that you then develop. It's an apathy, so to speak. It's like stopping to brush your teeth because you already have 2 cavities and now it doesn't even matter anymore. That's how people treat their financial abundance. All right, so lack of self-responsibility, and I know this makes you all cringe, means that we are staying sort of in an infantile state, okay, where we want others or the system to take care of us. And sometimes in spiritual circles this can extend to the good forces, the good guys, or some kind of imaginary forces of light that will take care of you. Okay, so this is a very unsophisticated way of treating money, because you are still not brushing your own teeth. So you do need to brush your own teeth, okay, in order to make money, all right, in order to be abundant. If you don't do this step into your own self-responsibility about this, nobody else is going to do it for you, and not even if you have a rich dad. Okay, unrealistic expectations, guys, are problem number 2. To have this magical thinking, all right, and that there's luck or unluck, seeing a sign in everything, and not actually really thinking or feeling this through, what you are energizing there with your thoughts and with your expectations, okay, how you set yourself up for things. All right, so you're going to have to really, do a little bit of inventory with yourself, how grown up you are about your financial affairs. Okay, so understand that you have an ego. This ego can work for you. It's supposed to help you survive, yes, but the ego also has limitations. And in regards to financial abundance, the ego is actually not the tool. Affirmations are not the tool. Affirmations come from your ego. It's like a mental idea that if I just think it harder, all right, that it become more likely to become real, and that is not the case. So your ego will suggest to you anything from holding on to, inept spending, okay, like fear-based spending, affirming negative feelings such as resentments and so forth about money. So the biggest issue with money is therefore, from an energetic point of view, the energetic alignment that the person has in the moment. And this is the part here that I really want to come across, guys. It's in the moment. It doesn't matter what it was in the past, and it doesn't matter that there's an uncertainty in the future. Right now is the time where you can change your energetic alignment, where you can change your abundance right now. Yes, you have to do a little inventory, and you have to remove all the things that make it harder for you to tune into this, okay? But if you want to develop new ways of making money and break through all these cycles, all right, then you need to understand that right now is the best time in your entire life to do that. Not tomorrow, and whatever happened yesterday is not the problem, because right now is where you're here in your energy, where you can change your energetic alignment towards your own abundance. This truth talk is just one way to hopefully to assist you in this, by eradicating some of the things that you're hanging on to that make it even harder. So in order to tap into this potential and to see the now as the opportunity, especially times like this, we're in an unprecedented time of transformation, guys. There's uncertainty everywhere. All the old ways are now being questioned. There has never been a better time to shift your attitude towards abundance, towards making money. There is no limitation, guys, for you to make money. Zero. You do not need anything to make money, and you can, utilize the resources that are free to you here at the spot. After this truth talk, you can go, for example, on YouTube or on Kindle or whatever, get yourselves books that help you to educate yourself in this way so that you can actually develop a new strategy. And I'll give you the strategy here in a little bit, but I want to point out 2 books that helped me with this. One book from a very dear teacher of mine, Stuart Wild, was called The Trick to Money is Having Some. And it's a very entertaining book about money. And I recommend this to everybody to lighten up a little bit about money. And he talks about, of course, the law of attraction and so forth. But he points out something very important, and that is your emotional attitude towards, actually wanting to feel abundant. And he says you have to feel abundant in order to become abundant. And that is something that really, really changed my attitude towards money in the mid-80s, okay? Because there I realized that if I have a negative attitude towards money, no matter what I do, and I was successful with many different things, I gained a lot of money and lost a lot of money, and I never seemed to be able to hold on to it, okay? I recognized that I have to put myself into this place of how I want to feel when I have enough money or even more that I need. I have to overcome my ego's inner tendency to be afraid of, the uncertain future, not having enough money, or to go into the past and remind me of how painful it is. And this is a form of resilience that we have to form here. This book is a very cool tool for this. Another book that is really, really good for the fundamentals, and also a lot of what I said here today that can help you with this, is Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You probably all heard about this book. It's a bestseller forever. Okay, this is a really good book to understand a few fundamentals about money. Now, in that book, there's not very many spiritual aspects in there, but if you look at some of the newer books that he's written, he's becoming, more and more spiritual about certain things in the way that he understands now that, it's really in the attitude and your alignment to life. Okay, so number 1 strategy point for tapping into financial abundance is your alignment. Understand the nature of money, understand the nature of abundance, and form a new compass. You need a new compass. You need to know how to navigate through this jungle. All right? Your attitude towards money, your attitude towards yourself, and being willing to be self-responsible, being willing to be a grown-up about money. Number 2, curiosity. So many people get focused on seeking the recipe to get rich overnight. Okay? No. Use this energy to seek understanding and knowledge about it. You don't have to experience what it's like to have a lot of money and to think about, all different kinds of things that you can maybe invest in. Well, then put yourself into that place that, thank you, Amazon. And put yourself into that place through other people. Learn from other people's experiences. Go out and ask questions. Be curious. Learn how to make money from other people. Listen to TED Talks. Listen to YouTube videos. The books that I recommended to you there, like as audiobooks, free audiobooks available. And discern between kind of knowledge that reinforces all the bad habits and negative attitudes towards money, as in like lottery win and get rich overnight type of things, all right, and more towards, where people actually talk about their experiences, their actual life stories. Really successful people, they study other successful people and they surround themselves with other successful people, because in lots of studies have found that if you surround yourself with people who have a negative attitude towards life, towards money and so forth, you end up with less money, with more negativity about it. So there's a field that is being created. The law of attraction talks about this too. But you have to have a curiosity about that and really look at how this plays out in your own life, okay? You have to gain a certain level of financial literacy, yes, and understand how resources function, all right? And how to manage certain things, like budgeting and so forth, and how this works with credit score that we talked about earlier. You need to really get the knowledge of this and to have the courage to ask other people, okay, how to get there. Number 3, and this is where I see most of you guys get stuck, is the drive, okay? Because this apathy and this negativity has created such a slow, low vibe in you, okay? That you get so fixated on your ego mechanisms of avoiding topics about money and avoiding money altogether, and it's a cringy subject. All right, and you don't even want to deal with that, so you don't even think about things that could change. So there needs to be the willingness to drop your ego stuff about money, in order to tap into your drive. You can't get stuck in, and being afraid of putting a website out there with your great ideas or your great products because you don't get the right photograph of yourself, or because you can't write a bio, or because you're afraid of going public, or you're afraid of telling others what you do. Guys, if you don't tell others what you do, how could they ever help you, support you, or buy something from you? How could you ever, go into this exchange of resources with it? So most of you get stuck with your ego stuff. You're afraid. You're afraid of failure. You're afraid of rejection. You're afraid of what? Of losing your identity, the one that keeps telling you that you are a victim, that you cannot do anything. I suggest to all of you to actually do this as a therapy, okay, and get used to going out there and having that courage and showing people what you are passionate about, and make a fool of yourself at least once a day, because that is what you will need, okay, to go into this place that makes people successful, namely the drive, the energy to do it. You need to have an urgency. You need to have a pressure, okay, to actually have it, to actually get what you want, and to do everything that is needed to do this. You need to have the vision of yourself. You need to feel into this. You need to see yourself doing this, and you need to do a constant reality check with it. How many of you have gotten stuck with a good idea, but the fear of going out there, and trust me, drive, all right, comes with desperation. So this is why not having money could be the biggest blessing that you've ever received in your life, because it will create it. And if you wait long enough, it will be so disastrous that you have to. And this is when people really emerge. If you read the stories of successful people, they all have a story like that. It came out of the necessity. The drive came out of the necessity. And then you need a little bit of tenacity. You need the determination, the willingness to go and do it over and over and over and over again. Here's where a lot of the unrealistic expectations come in. Do you know how long it takes, all right, to actually, tap into that, to get a yes, all right? You will have to get 9 no's in order to get 1 yes. Yes, that means you have to be willing to actually do this, and to collaborate, and to go out there and to network with people, to overcome your fear of failure every day, every day, every day. Any sales training can teach you that. You have to go out there to be ready to get your no's, your rejection, okay? And that's how you do it. You don't focus on the no's, you focus on that one yes that you are going for, all right? You have this focus, and you make that priority. And you need to really be clear with yourself that this is what it takes, okay? This doesn't mean that you have to exhaust yourself. This just means that you have to be willing to do what it takes. And then, of course, you have to have a passion for it, an enthusiasm. You need to love what you do and do what you love, because this is what other people feel. And guess what? That's energy. Okay? You got to trust in yourself. You got to have this inner feeling that what you are doing is congruent, is truthful, is authentic. Okay? And feel into yourself. If, sometimes we can get off track a little bit, all right? If your inner signals are, really imbalanced with that. Sometimes we try to do jobs or try to sell products or businesses that are not actually congruent with that go against our inner integrity. Forget that, guys. You might be able to make some money with it, but it's not going to last. You're not going to be able to hold this because your energy about it is not right. And the 6th strategy here to actually tap into your abundance and break the cycle of ego, fear, and lack is you have to have the right reason. This may seem like, that you can't afford to think about the reason, but you really need to know why. This already comes in when you develop a product or a service. You need to feel into what it actually is that you love doing, when you want to do, if this even has value to others. Okay, this is the empathy that is needed here for developing good ideas and good strategies. You need to know if this is even something that can help others, maybe, or assist others in some ways. This is a good reason to go out there and create more abundance for other people in whatever way. This could be a little gadget type of product or a service that you can offer, or an organization or something that a movement or that you form that provides value for people. And this is how you can overcome your self-worth issues, because it is not you that determines the value. It is what you offer to others, what you can give to others, that determines the value. So if you identify with your product, even if it is a service that you provide, and your inner attitude towards yourself is negative, then you are transporting this with your products. And this is done typically why business ideas fail, because you have a negative attitude towards your own business, because you have a negative attitude towards yourself. It's of course very simplified right now. Having the right reason doesn't just mean to love what you do and to do what you love. It means that you also know what you're doing this for and how this can help others to increase that love. How it can increase abundance for others, how it can help others to gain more energy. That's what people are willing to pay for. That is what we all need. So basically, we are creating abundance if we feel abundant, and we can feel abundant if we create abundance. And from an energetic point of view, guys, abundance has to do with self-love. It has to do with you really being in tune and in balance with yourself and your environment. And everything that you hate on, everything that you resist, everything that you rebel against, works against your abundance. How does money relate to space and time? As money is just a form of energy, it relates to in the exact same way. It is not bound to space and time. The actual currency, like say the coins or the numbers on your bank account, obviously are tied to 3D, but the ability to get money and to have money is not bound to space and time. Just like the ability to feel love, or so many other energetic resonances, such as compassion or gratitude and healing, don't have anything to do with time and space. There only is one time, really. All times are now. And there only is one place. All places are here. So in that way, it doesn't relate to it at all. Because if you can change your attitude right now, you're creating a whole new carrier wave for the future. It's your compass changes. And as your compass changes, where your energy sort of works towards to, then can create a whole new reality than the one that you're having right now. Yes, you got to start loving what you do, and you start loving making money. Yes, and it's amazing what happens, because a lot of people say, oh, I didn't need money to be happy, and yet they're restricted on all ends of their lives, and that's why they end up resenting life. And when you resent life, it's impossible to tap into your abundance. So there is a huge connection here between really loving your life, and feeling abundance and being abundant. Yes, there's a lot of drive in my voice. This is not something that I was born with. I was born just like you guys, not from rich parents, not with any education about money, and not with any kind of mentors or anything that would teach me those kind of things. I had to go out and develop a lot of drive. And this drive came out of this understanding that I am responsible for myself. I never in my life expected anybody else to take care of me. And this is probably the single most important tip that I can give you, to get out of your laziness, to get out of your victimhood, okay, and to turn this around now. Real quick here, a few strategies that I want to illuminate. And fast forward, getting a job, okay, yes, to sit on the couch and not doing anything promotes apathy, promotes, the lack of self-responsibility, promotes the depression. So you should always have a job, but whatever job is, you need to define. For most of you, job is JOB, just above broke, especially here in the United States. Think about this clearly. If you do a job that drains you energetically to a point that you don't have any energy left at the end of the day, then you are paying for your job. Then that job is not really providing abundance for you. Then you are just living to work. Okay, you need to work to live, but not live to work. Okay, so if your job sucks up your life force, wrong job. Then degree, getting a new degree, getting some kind of education. Yes and no, always depends on the system country that you live in, how degrees and education are handled here in the United States. It's being made scarce. Okay, so apparently you have to pay a lot of money for degrees. I don't necessarily recommend that, because a lot of you can develop skill sets that don't have anything to do with degrees. Now, I do recommend to increase your skill sets, to constantly learn, to constantly improve on whatever your skills and talents are. If you don't know what your skills and talents are, then you might have to do a little bit of investigating really what you are naturally good with, what your essence is, where you have a natural abundance. Saving up money in order to, in times like this, guys, not a very good idea. Your savings are not safe in your banks. A lot of different reasons for that. Obviously, the overall economic and financial situation, we're heading from a depression into a recession here, from a recession into a depression, and savings will not pay you anything, and they will not even be safe anymore. So it's probably better to do something with your money, and either to hedge, by converting it into precious metals, as a lot of people, gold and silver, a lot of people do, because it seems to be resistance to any crisis, or alternatives such as investing into other businesses, or investing into real estate, or cryptocurrencies, for instance. My personal take on this is that you should always have, if you have a lot of money that you need to distribute away from your savings, that you do different pillars, okay, so that you kind of gain no matter what happens. This is how rich people do it. They make a lot of money with crisis, guys. So for them, it doesn't matter if there's a depression, or if there's inflation or deflation or whatever. They make money no matter what. Okay, so savings is something that can help you with certain things if you need to get past a certain threshold, but they cannot really provide abundance to you. Sometimes savings are needed. And I always recommend people, from an energetic point of view, it's better to have a little bit of savings that can get you, like, say, through 1 or 2 months of expenses, so that in case something happens in your life, that you don't get into this total crisis with things. Okay, relationships, a rich husband or a rich wife, or something, another person providing something for you, obviously is not a very good concept, and I would scratch that right off there. Is there an advantage in collaborating with other people and using the synergetic effect? Absolutely. And a lot of us who have experienced this, where you can have a partnership where both skill sets and talents kind of align or complement another, you can do really, really great things together, even better things. But it doesn't mean that you can't do this without the other person. Networking and collaborating are things that you can always do. Lottery win. Yeah, you might laugh right now, but a lot of people actually have that kind of strategy for their financials, okay? They have a certain talent, and then they go out and treat it like it's a one-time shot. And if I get this right, then I'll be famous or rich overnight. Okay, this is the lottery win attitude. Lottery win from an energetic point of view is a very low vibratory rate and creates disaster. Every single study ever done on people who won money in the lottery shows that they are worse off afterwards than they were before. But it takes roughly 5 years, no matter depending on how big the win is. So one other teacher of mine, Dr. Hawkins, always said, you better pray for not winning the lottery. Okay, so lottery win is not a very conducive strategy, because it also creates this magical thinking and promotes sort of the phantasms. You're not really standing in reality. Business is a very, very good way of doing that. There's a whole segment that you need to learn about business, such as what your country's legal and tax laws allow you and don't allow you, licenses and so forth. You got to educate yourself about that. And I would suggest that you actually ask people who have businesses. That would be the best. You can go on the internet, or you can hire a business coach like myself or many other good business coaches out there that can guide you through the steps needed, that you would have to take for your particular business. Do you need technology? Sometimes yes. In times like this, where 78% of all sales decisions are being made on a smartphone or a handheld device, I would strongly recommend, yes, that you familiarize yourself. You don't have to be a coder or a programmer or app designer, but you need to understand how sales work nowadays, where the money gets transferred, where the points of sales are, and they have to do with technology nowadays, which is also a wonderful opportunity, because this didn't used to be this way. We used to have to carry things from one person to the other, or ship it there, or, well, you still have to ship it, but I mean, we had to ship the information to the person, in a physical form. You don't need this anymore. Nowadays, with the technology out there, you do not need any money to start a business. Investing in other people's businesses, those of you who don't really feel the drive, who don't really feel like you're born for doing business, that's fine. But that doesn't mean that you can't be involved in businesses. You can help other people, for example, to build businesses. You can collaborate, or can become part of something, or invest in something that you like. I don't recommend the stock market, because it's too rigged. It's too, controlled by hidden agendas. But maybe people who have thriving businesses, and you want to become sort of a partner there, or you want to contribute something to the business. Not always investing in money. Sometimes you can also invest with your skills, or with your whatever sort of your talents are. I always recommend people to constantly invest in something. You constantly have to invest in yourself, and even if it's just in form of knowledge, or in form of doing something, okay, like getting your body to move, okay. Invest in your life force, so that it flows right, because if your life force and your energy is too low, even the best ideas and the best abundance right in front of you will be invisible for you. So really make sure that you always invest in something, even if it's just a bouquet of flowers on your dinner table that increases the energy in your house, or in self-care, or in knowledge, or in helping other people to do something. Always invest. Become resourceful. There's so many resources for free out there now that make it really, really easy for you to get these things that you thought you needed at your fingertips. Cashing out, opting out, like there is no tomorrow, obviously, guys, is not a good idea. No matter where you go, and you can go to the end of the world where, an apple costs a penny, and think that if you just go to where there's a lot of poor people, and where there's a lower income and so forth, then you can gain more. That is a good idea, but all studies show that you can do better in environments where everybody is doing better, where everybody is thriving. So this idea that you just let go of everything and go to an ashram, and that will make you more abundant, is a bit of an illusion, guys. I understand the spiritual aspect of that, but this has to be translated in 3D. The last thing I wanted to just mention real briefly, and I don't know if many of you guys know this, but I have 2 companies that deal with cryptocurrency, so I do recommend people to at least educate themselves on what this crypto and blockchain thing is. It's a wonderful opportunity, especially if you're younger, to tap into a whole new level of abundance. And I'm not talking through trading, I'm talking actually through recognizing that there's a technology, something like what the internet was in the big, in the mid 80s, okay, is now coming to us, a whole new way of data handling and transactions and so forth, which is called blockchain, and cryptocurrencies are sort of the measurement of that. So you can see a lot of videos on my YouTube channel about this, and you can also book a free initial coaching session with me about this. The bottom line of all of this is, guys, that you really need to check in with your own attitudes, including your hidden agendas, your abundance blocks, and what is actually holding you back from think and feel abundant. All right, and when you are ready to make that step, then teachers will arrive. You will see resources, you will see helpers, supporters everywhere. Okay, but for as long as you treat your financial situation like a teenager, okay, and you live like there's no tomorrow and other people will take care of it, which is basically what the baby boomers and Generation X, what we have been doing to the future generations, okay, we have been treating everything like this. All right, there is a big awakening, and we are in the middle of this transition right now. So this is the time, guys, to grow up. This is the time to do financial planning. This is the time to shift everything about your money and finances. And I'm not doing this because I'm selling you something. This is purely educational. All right. But I can tell you for sure that if you choose to treat your finances like a kid, okay, that somebody else is magically going to take care of you, you're not going to make it. This is the time now where we are being called to step up into our own alignment, into our own curiosity, into our own drive, into our own determination, and into our own passion. You need to know what these things are. And this does not just apply to money, this also applies to your health and to your love life. So abundance is something that is reflected in health, wealth, and love. Okay? And that's your new compass. Okay? If you have issues in either one of these areas, it's probably because these things are not in balance. All right, guys, I know this has been a long talk. Thank you so much for being here with me. Keep asking questions. Please comment and go to my YouTube channel. There's more about this. There are all entire courses, entire publications about some of the new technologies like crypto and so forth, or book a free initial energy coaching with me and see, what the roadmap needs to be for you. Okay. Thank you so much. Love you guys. See you next Sunday. Bye-bye.